It's just me, Sean, and I'm here letting you know y'all should tune into the streams. I've been here on Twitch. We be having a good time. Tune in.
We're back. You feel me? Another day, another dollar. Y'all seen if you watching the video.
A specific gamepad-centered console and early VR headset come to mind, but in
why as soon as I get in YouTube, you want to ask me questions? None of the above, G.
most cases it has. And the one example that in my eyes is one of the pinnacles of their creativity and innovation is the Nintendo DS. To date, this is Nintendo's best-selling console. And the second best-selling video game console in general, with an astounding sales total of over 154 million units sold.
Bro, told you, the DS is a classic.
Only a mere million away from the PS2. The DS has without a doubt had a huge impact on a lot of people. Myself
that Mario Party is most underrated.
And in this video, I want to take a look back at this system and see what made it such an
most
amazing
underrated
console
game,
and why a majority of its library still holds up extraordinarily well.
No, I ain't never played Nintendo.
So without further ado, my name is Mario Mikester, and welcome to a Nintendo DS retrospective.
Oh, okay, I know the retrospective.
Dave McCormick said overturning Roe v. Wade.
Released here in North America on November 21st, 2004,
Nintendo 64.
The DS...
Low key, Nintendo having Mario 64 on the DS, bro. Your library is different. So you have 64 on the DS. Now the game wasn't. It was cool because you had the 4D pad, so it wasn't as great. But like on the go, is kind of different.
Although initially was not meant to replace Nintendo's current handheld system, the Game Boy Advance, being instead marketed as a third pillar alongside the GBA and GameCube. Development for the DS began in mid-2002, with the idea of a dual-screen system coming from Nintendo president at the time, Hiroshi Yamauchi. Yamauchi couldn't stress enough how important the DS's success was to Nintendo's future, due to the GameCube's lackluster sales. Even going as far to say that if the DS succeeds, they'll rise to heaven, but if it fails, they'll sink to hell. And although this seems like a slight overreaction, due to how much the gaming industry was changing and evolving around the time of the DS's development, it probably wasn't too far of a stretch. And as work on the DS progressed, an emphasis on touchscreen capability and overall simplicity was a big focus for Nintendo. You see, shortly after conceptualizing the DS, Hiroshi Yamauchi stepped down as president of Nintendo, and was succeeded by the legendary Satoru Iwata. Iwata didn't just want the DS to be innovative, he knew it would be almost impossible to compete with Sony's PS2, and attract that hardcore audience that dominated gaming at the time. So, he wanted to adopt a new strategy, and the DS was the perfect subject for this.
It was.
Hence the initial third pillar idea. With the DS, Iwata was planning to introduce an entirely new audience to Nintendo and their games, by appealing to the extremely broad and untapped casual audience who didn't care about how powerful a system was, or how hardcore its games were, but instead enjoyed simple, innovative fun. And so the development of the system was very much geared towards this idea once Iwata took over, with the console sporting the exact same button layout as a Super Nintendo controller, and even featuring a stylus pen for the new touchscreen. However, although development for the console...
That shit was going every single time. That stylus, yo, they were making money with that stylus, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Remarkably well. There was one big thing Nintendo was missing when it came to launching the system. Games. A strong launch title, or titles, are instrumental when it comes to the initial reaction a system will get on release. And in order to best demonstrate the DS's capabilities, graphically and functionally, Nintendo settled on one main game they wanted to push the system with: Super Mario 64. Super Mario 64 is what launched the N64 all the way back in 1996, and introduced a lot of people to 3D gaming, and was the game at launch to show off what the N64 could do. With the DS, Nintendo wanted to emulate this. Not emulate, sorry, Nintendo doesn't like that word. Mimic. They wanted to mimic this with the DS, and again used Mario 64 to show off their console. And so, Super Mario 64 DS.
I'm gonna lie to you.
And at E3 2004, it, along with the DS, were finally revealed to the public, receiving amazingly positive reception.
Man, look at the GOAT, Reggie. Oh my goodness, bro! There's been a minute since I listened to that song. I heard that sound is one of the greatest sounds I've ever used. That has ever been used. I'm gonna use that, John. Hear that one more time. Oh my.
Upon booting up the system, you're met with its relatively simple home menu. You got a clock and a calendar on the top screen, and the more interesting stuff like the DS game slot, PictoChat, and a GBA game slot on the bottom screen.
That was
The
crazy.
inclusion of the GBA slot here
different.
is pretty interesting though, because despite initially being marketed as a third pillar between the GameCube and GBA, almost every DS console model released featured a slot at the bottom of the system for GBA cartridges. So much for existing alongside each other. Regardless of that, even though this home menu is pretty bare bones at first glance, there's actually a lot to it. Heading into the settings, you can actually personalize your console quite a bit here. You can enter your name into the console, which is what would show up in online games. You can select your favorite color, which will change the color of the borders on the top and bottom of the screen. And you can even put your birthday in it. And on that day, your DS's startup chime will sound a little different. And if you enter a chat on PictoChat, it'll let everyone know it's your birthday and wish you a happy birthday, which is super cute. I really love how despite the simplicity of this home menu, there's a lot you can do to personalize it and make it
really yours.
Which is just such a Nintendo thing. Especially in this era, with the Wii releasing not too long after the DS. But messing around on the home menu isn't the only thing you could do here if you didn't feel like playing a game. You also had the option of chatting it up with other local DS owners in PictoChat. PictoChat is something I really wish I could have experienced in its prime.
Yeah, bro.
The app didn't require...
I wish I would have really experienced it in its prime like that. Because, bro, what was the point of that, nigga? Let me talk to you. You right there. I guess it's all an illustration. Guess if we in a car.
That connection, but instead used a wireless local connection
let me hop
that
in
had
the
a
game,
range
bro.
of about 60 to 100 feet, and allowed you to join chat rooms with people, where you could draw or text each other about whatever you felt like. And in the DS's prime, with its insane sales, if you lived in a big neighborhood, or especially in an apartment building in a big city, these chat rooms would always have at least a couple people in them. And it could help you meet other fellow DS owners and possibly become friends with them. Or at least that was what Nintendo hoped people would use it for. While yes, a majority of the users chatting on PictoChat were fellow harmless DS fans who just wanted to make friends, due to the anonymity of the app and the fact that it could only connect to people relatively close to you, a very small amount of people used it for not so great purposes. Which around 2006 to 2007, when the DS really started to take off, attracted the attention of a lot of news outlets, who did these hilarious reports claiming Nintendo was an evil company and was lying about their consoles. Obviously Nintendo isn't evil and wasn't lying about the DS to trick parents, but it's really funny watching some of these news reports back and hearing what
that was a Game Boy, bro.
It has lots of graphics.
It has graphics.
Niggas holding the Game Boy, bro. That shit about to blow me. Why did y'all... Nigga got a Game Boy right here. That ain't a DS.
It has graphics. In the end, PictoChat was an amazing application to come bundled in with the DS.
It was.
It was a great way to meet fellow local DS owners, draw funny pictures on the screen, and just mess around when you were bored. That unfortunately, due to an incredibly small amount of weirdos, was absolutely ruined by the news.
Yeah, but
enough
it was
about
fun to use,
PictoChat
we
and the
have
home menu,
phones.
though. Easily the most important aspect of a game console
The
is the games themselves.
Yeah,
and
look
in
at
the
those.
DS's case, this console has one of the best portable lineups ever. New Super Mario Bros. DS, The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks,
Fire
Animal
games.
Crossing Wild...
Some of the most underrated Zelda games. Let me get at that. Phantom Hourglass. No, Spirit Track. Phantom Hourglass was cool. I like Phantom Hourglass's concept. More than Spirit Track, but Spirit Track was a better game.
Dogs, Mario Kart DS, and so many other iconic titles not only defined the DS's library, but also took amazing advantage of the console's capabilities. A game like Nintendogs, for example, uses the touchscreen and microphone of the DS incredibly well, and allows for so many engaging and cute ways to interact with the dogs. Obviously, you can of course pet them by rubbing their heads on the bottom screen, but you can also play games like fetch with them, and even call out their name and teach them to do tricks by using the microphone. Nintendogs wasn't a game I grew up with, but playing it for this video made me realize just how creative the gameplay gimmicks in this game really are. Going to the store to buy a brush for the dog and then brushing the dog with the touchscreen, competing in contests, taking your dog for a walk. It's not something you'd expect to be that fun to do in a game, but due to how intuitive the DS is, it's definitely a game I would have loved.
Nigga just peed.
But I mean, if we're talking about super creative uses of the DS, I obviously have to talk about Brain Age. Brain Age is one of the big games on the DS that really defined...
I remember having this game and I would play it because I don't want to say it just came with the console, but well, at least on the DSi, but like it was a cool game. I played it just to play, but I never played it, if you know what I mean.
The system as not just a console
This is something
for
like my
gamers,
mom would play.
but for everyone. Brain Age is all
Yeah.
about learning, and well, training your brain, which is not what most people go to video games for. However, with this title literally being the 4th best-selling game on the console, it's clear there was a lot of love for it. And that's because a relatively big part of the DS's user base were adults and elderly people who had never shown interest in video games before,
they could just bring it
but
on
because
the
the
go.
DS wasn't marketed as just a game system to play in your free time, and instead could be multiple things like a drawing pad, a learning tool, or a cooking simulator, it became incredibly popular among just about everybody.
You said cooking simulator.
Doing math problems and reading exercises for 30 minutes in Brain Age, and then drifting my ass off in Mario Kart DS after, really made me feel a lot better about myself. Speaking of Mario Kart DS, although I've only talked about Nintendogs and Brain Age, franchises that got their start on the DS and were built around its features, existing franchises also had amazing entries on this system.
Amazing, bro.
With one of my absolute favorites being Mario
Thank you for mentioning this game.
Party DS. Mario Party DS
needed to be
should
mentioned.
Have been a launch title with how great of a showcase of the DS it is. The mini-games here are a total blast.
Amazing, bro.
Blowing into the microphone to blow out the candles on the
That was a cheat code. All you would just do is put the mouse
toy
on
car on the bottom screen and steering it
Oh
along to avoid any obstacles. Dragging food onto this conveyor belt.
It's like I remember every single one because I damn near played it so many times.
In order to knock out your opponents, it's so cool. I'm such a sucker for silly gimmicks like this, and Mario Party DS is full of them. The whole game also taking place in giant real-life locations like gardens, backyards, and living rooms.
With a genius idea.
Also lends super well to how creative this is.
Such a genius idea.
And the boards probably do the best at showcasing this. Wiggler's Garden, Toadette's Music Room,
it makes me want to play Mario Party.
And the rest of the boards here are so
It really makes me want to play Mario Party.
Just how powerful the DS was for the time, being able to render these fully 3D environments. This is also one of the only Mario Party games to actually have a cohesive story that genuinely complements the gameplay. The plot here is that Bowser shrinks everybody, and that's why all the mini-games and boards seem to take place in giant
We need the whole
locations.
retrospective on this game itself.
I love that. This game is easily the most underrated in the entire Mario Party series, and it deserves a lot more attention.
I'm so glad.
But while some games took full advantage of the DS and its gimmicks, others were very conservative in their uses. Like, for example, Mario Kart DS. For the console it didn't use Mario Kart DS is one of the most traditional Mario Karts out there. It doesn't have any game-changing uses of the touchscreen or microphone,
but didn't need anything.
But rather instead takes advantage of the DS's portability and graphical capability, creating a super great portable racer at the time.
Bro, it didn't need none of that, and it was still a great game, bro. I'm
being able to
this
just
DS,
lay in
the console
bed
was
and play a
amazing.
fully 3D Mario Kart game was super cool back in 2005. And what made it even better is that Mario Kart DS, and well, the DS itself, had online multiplayer. While at release the DS didn't have any online functionality, with the release of Mario Kart DS in 2005, also came the release of Nintendo WFC, better known as Nintendo Wi-Fi Connection. This made the DS Nintendo's first entirely wireless online console, with tons of games on the system making use of the online function.
I never used it really
and
like
I
that,
mean,
other
just
than a
being able to play
Pokemon.
Mario Kart Online in the first place was probably enough to sell a couple hundred people on the system, because at the time, this was something you hadn't ever been able to do before. The only downside to Mario Kart DS's online, however, was that just about half of the tracks available in the game couldn't be played online due to hardware limitations, and that only 4 players could race at once instead of the usual 8.
Oh,
in the end, though, this didn't bother many people, as the online was already enough for them.
You know, that's tough, but that
all
sucks
the
at the same
incredible
time.
games the DS had, and how they took such great advantage of the console's unique features, this system is easily one... Wait, that's what the DS looked like
that's
at
the
launch?
OG DS.
That thing's ugly.
Yeah, that's the OG DS.
Despite being a worldwide phenomenon at launch with a stellar lineup of
that was
games
the
within its
OG one,
first
but I didn't have the
2
OG
years,
like
the DS
that.
had one big problem in its starting years. The console was just ugly. I mean, it's got this weird gray and black color scheme, the design is just clunky, and overall, it was not very aesthetically pleasing to look at all. Fortunately, just a year and a half into its lifespan, the DS would receive a brand new model, the DS Lite. And oh my god, is this design so much better than the original.
Upgrade was different.
The DS Lite is so much more sleek. The buttons aren't horrendously ugly, start and select are positioned in much better places, and the console actually looks cool now. But an actually good design isn't the only thing the DS Lite improved upon the original. The DS Lite also had a much brighter screen, a longer battery life, and even a bigger stylus that matches the sleek look of the system. This redesign was something the console desperately needed, but wasn't the only new model the DS would receive in
The
its
DSi.
life. 2 years later in 2008, Nintendo
They
would
added
unveil
a camera to it, bro. The DSi was
release
different.
the
The
DSi.
DSi was different.
The DSi didn't change the sleek design too much, but did come with a plethora of new features. Not only was this system substantially more powerful than the DS Lite and original DS, it had a bigger screen, an SD card slot, and 2 cameras. One on the front of the system and one on the back. The only thing lost with the DSi was the GBA slot present on both the DS Lite and original DS.
But you got the whole store.
The new features of the DSi more or less made up for it. Now the system had an entirely new home menu and some new built-in apps to mess around with. You could play around with your voice in Nintendo DSi sound, and take pictures and videos and add funny edits to them in the camera app. I think the biggest thing people don't talk about at all when it comes to the DSi is that this is when it really felt like the DS had fully moved on from the GBA and GameCube, and now had become entirely synonymous with the Wii, even featuring its own version of the Wii Shop channel, aptly named DSi Shop. The DSi Shop was home to hundreds of DSiWare.
But I had this one boxing game on that I will never forget. I think the game was played like this. Hard game. After character customization. You know, if the character customization, you have me hooked. Man, I remember fighting on a raft.
Which were basically tiny little games no bigger than 16 megabytes in size that you could buy for a couple dollars to download and mess around with. Easily the most popular app here was free, however, being the ever-famous Flipnote Studio. Flipnote was an app you could use to make simple frame-by-frame animations by using the touchscreen to draw. Flipnote has gained a lot of attention within the last year, with animations made in the app going viral on TikTok.
Let's go gambling! Aw, dang it! Aw, dang it! Aw, dang it!
That's that Flipnote.
I absolutely
That's that flip, bro. I missed. Oh man, bro, this was such a what it is to be a kid again, bro. Oh my goodness, bro. That's the first time I heard Boulevard of Broken Dreams on here. I remember the Luigi meme that was coming up on here. My pants type, you feel me, was on here. Luigi and Mario, if you know, you know, bro. This combination this was just a different time. You know, this is this making me reminisce so much. I generally feel like kids now don't get this type of childhood isn't the right way to say, but this sort of sense of like, this was predating the internet. Well, not predating the internet, but this was like early internet, all of this. You know, now the internet is so much more mainstream, which kind of like, I won't say ruined it, but kind of made it so much more. And I guess maybe the limitations, the safety, because beforehand the internet, you could, I won't say post anything, but like, it wasn't too much. You couldn't get canceled. You know, certain type of things was not there. But in general, you go to social media wasn't such a big of a thing. This was social media of some sort. Not the social media, but a social media that only had this specific thing. I was mentioning this with my friend, how I think the way that the internet, or I guess society has been, everything became into this thing, right? We can do everything on here now. And there's perks. It's good and bad. I have everything that I need right here. But it kind of took away a little bit of the charm of it all. Think about an iPod. We can listen to music on the phone, so it don't matter. But the iPod has so much personality and so much character to it. It's another thing that you have to carry. Oh yeah, did I remember my iPod and my phone? Combining together was the best thing. But that was just a little bit extra charm to it. You know, also shit, when I try to edit or something, I can't listen to music and do my iPod at once, you feel me? Or I can't, but man, this was just a different time.
Of the simple but well-made drawings, and the DSi's awful microphone make for some hilarious animations. Shout out to all those Flipnote creators out there. Especially Rax, the Flipnote, creator of the legendary Gamble Core video. Overall, the DSi was a great upgrade to an already great system, and really was the final big thing that made the DS and Wii synonymous with each other. Stepping back a bit, I think there's one amazing feature that every DS model has that I've neglected to mention so far. Download play. Back in the days of the GBA, if you wanted to trade Pokemon with a friend or race each
One of the
other in
greatest
Mario Kart Super
features.
Circuit, you had to do so through the Game Boy Link cable. This cable was annoying, short, and only worked when it wanted to. With the DS, however, playing games locally with
Wireless.
friends was easier than ever with Download Play.
Beautiful.
The best part about this app is that only one person had to own
Exactly.
the game, with the others being able to download the game through the app and play with you.
That's
So
all they
many
needed.
amazing titles on the DS supported this feature, and have given me some great memories of playing with friends.
Man, bro.
Super Mario 64 DS had this
Yes.
mode where you would compete to see who could collect
Super
the most
again,
stars.
like I said, Super Mario 64, Mario Party, Mario Kart, Lego Star Wars. Could I think of anything on top of my head that has something on top of my head? Any more? I got those in my head. Shoot, I can't think of any more. But there's a lot of features on here that was amazing.
And the time limit, with you being dropped into one of a few maps from the games and being able to attack each other and steal the stars back. Mario Kart DS let you race with friends,
Yeah.
with them only being able to play as Shy Guys, a character exclusive to Download Play. Mario Party DS let you experience the
Beautiful.
game pretty much just as you would if you owned it, allowing you to play as any character you want. Download Play was one of
That
the
was such
coolest
a-
ways to
that's
play
so
DS
cool.
games with other people. And to this day is something I'm surprised Nintendo included, given how stingy they can be sometimes. Regardless, the memories I hold playing Mario Kart DS or new Super Mario multiplayer with my friend will never not be special to me.
Never. Play those Mario parties.
Did you know it's made with coffee milk? It's sweet and creamy, by the way.
Aviation plays a critical role in our lives. We are facing a new challenge. Mechanics are retiring.
Hey, bro, got 2 more
The
minutes.
Nintendo DS is a special one. It was released at a time when Nintendo's future was uncertain, the gaming industry was changing, and the GameCube wasn't doing very well. However, Nintendo still had one trick up their sleeve. And that
The
trick
ultimate
ended up
trick.
being the most successful handheld console to date, and the second best-selling console of all time.
Yeah.
Its unique features like the touchscreen, microphone, and just dual screens in general laid the groundwork for developers to make some of the most enjoyable portable games of their time, which still hold up remarkably well today. Games like Mario Party DS, Nintendogs, and Brain Age took amazing advantage of the unique features of the system, and drove tons of people who would have never picked up a video game controller in their life to stores so they could pick up a DS and a handful of its casual-friendly games. While titles like Mario Kart DS and New Super Mario Bros. Appealed to Nintendo's core audience, not including intense touch controls or dual-screen action, instead taking advantage of the portability and graphics of the system. The DS was a console that was for everybody, and Iwata's impact on the gaming industry with this console, and his plan to introduce more people to gaming with the DS, is one that should never be
It
forgotten.
should never.
And from
bro.
its worst design,
Pokemon Mystery
wow,
Dungeon,
that thing is up
yeah.
there, to its best design. The DS proved that gaming could be more than just a hobby, and was for
It's just
more
a
than
life-
just hardcore
yeah, it's part
gamers
of
who
your
wanted
life.
to shoot things. I mean, you could learn, you could become an artist, hell, you could take care of an animal if you wanted to. And after almost 20 years, this console has stood the test of time, and is still remembered incredibly fondly to this
Bro,
day.
amazing,
for its
bro.
profound
Ah, you
impact
about to make
it's
me
had on
cry.
so many people.
This
So
nigga about to
thank
go,
you, Nintendo.
bro.
Thank you for the games and console family that defined my and so many
Yo,
others' childhood.
define mine for sure, bro. The DS was me. DS was me. You spelled Freddy wrong, but okay. That Pokemon Platinum. Good video, Mike. Good video. Good video. That's a great video. Man, made me want to go ahead and play a Nintendo game. Honestly, in my humble opinion, the DS is the greatest console of all time. I agree with you. At the time, it was great. Third party support, yeah, Picto Chat was great at school. Man, bro, it makes me want to play. It makes me want to play a Mario game. Is that not a Mario game, but the Switch? Is that the wave that we going?